All right, folks, welcome back in your Rams post-game show on Bleacher Report. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen. We'll be breaking down the winners and losers of this game. And unfortunately, the Rams were the loser in this one, 19-16. They fall victim at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati on Monday Night Football. They unfortunately fall to 1-2 on the season, and a look of what truly could have been throughout the entire game. Before we get into it, just letting you guys know, if at any point you like what I'm saying, you like watching me, you can follow me right on this app, right on the Bleacher Report app, and you can follow me on Twitter at JKBogan. So let's talk about this. First off, I mean, this is a game where the narratives to me have to go right out the window. Because when you talk about the Rams and before the season started, if you told me that the Rams were going to lose 19-16 to the Bengals, even though I'm very high on the Rams this season, I believe they're going to go 10-7. I would have taken that. I would have thought that would have been a little bit of a surprise, but okay, I'll take it. The Bengals are my Super Bowl pick. So this is a really good football team that isn't fully healthy yet. With that said, that was not why the Rams did not lose this game because of being too young, being too inexperienced, not being ready for the moment. Like, if you really you watch this game, and we'll go through it on all 22 over on my Kick channel later in the week. But I mean, we watched this game, and I got to tell you, Matthew Stafford, his stats aren't going to look great. 18 for 33, 269 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Like, that's not going to look ideal. But I don't think any quarterback would have done much better tonight. It's not even the Bengals defense, although I don't want to take any credit away from defense coordinator Lou Anarumo. I thought he was fantastic. But when you look at the fact that early on in the game, the Rams left tackle Alaric Jackson goes down with an injury. So right off the rip, you're dealing with that. He goes down with an injury. You now have Zach Thomas, number 57, in at left tackle. So Zach Thomas is now in, who's typically a guard, I would say. He's in there, just thrown into the fire. There's no chips there. And by what I mean by chip, of course, is the tight end coming up and, throwing a little bit of a block to kind of either throw off a pass rusher, get him off balance a little bit, help out the left tackle. There was none of that. He had no chance against one of the more dominant pass rushers in the league in Aiden Hutchinson. And in my opinion, this is on McVay. This loss is on McVay. Okay. I said it all night on Twitter. If you guys follow me at JK Bogan, I said all night on Twitter, this defense looked great tonight. Holding Cincinnati to 19 points. I understand Burrow had himself an okay game, right? And Burrow's hurt. But I was really impressed with the Rams defense. Really impressed with the job Raheem Morris did. This loss is on Sean McVay. Because at the end of the day, if you're in a close punch for punch, down to the wire, back and forth game where no one is taking over and it's a close one, you need to run the football. You have to run the football. There is no excuse to not run the football. Kyren Williams comes away with 10 carries for 38 yards. Now, on one hand, you could say, okay, it's 3.8 yards per carry. On the other, you could say he was never able to, one, get into a rhythm, and two, McVay only ran the ball 10 times with a running back against a team that is allowing almost 200 yards on the ground in back-to-back games. So first off, that's the first thing is you have to give blame to Sean McVay. He is the reason for what we just saw, essentially. Sean McVay lost the Rams' football game. So if we're doing winners and losers, the loser has to start with head coach Sean McVay. And I love the guy, and I'm sure a lot of you do, but his play calling was so abysmal for a team that, simply put, was leading most of the game. But besides the fact it was neck and neck, and he ran 10 times against a defense that was giving up almost 200 yards a game on the ground. Matthew Stafford, because of this, throws 33 times. He completes 18 of them for 269 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 6 times because his left tackle was out. Joe Nopum got hurt, so the right guard was out. And furthermore, you have the Bengals just pinning their ears back, rushing the passer, because at the end of the day, guys, they knew what was happening. Okay, they're not going to run the ball. They're not going to run the ball. They're not going to do it. Even though their left tackle's out, they're not going to protect Stafford. They're not going to run the football. We're just going to pin our ears back and send the heat. And that's what Anarumo did, and it worked. And it's a darn shame, because when you look, I mean, Puka Nacua, Tyler Higbee, Tutu Atwell, Van Jefferson, they all were moving the football. Kyron Williams looked good. I mean, he had 27 yards on 2 receptions. I think in this one, though, it was all about the defense. The offense really just sputtered. The play calling. Let me just put it this way. In all the games I've watched with Sean McVay, this is one of the worst coaching performances I've seen. It honestly doesn't even make any sense. So again, if we're going to start with losers, Sean McVay is 100% one of the losers that we're going to bring up here. That stock, like stock up, stock down. His stock is down after this game. Now, he's still a Super Bowl winning champion. He's still one of the best coaches in football. He had a bad night, but this game was so mismanaged. They had every opportunity to win. Now, I'm going to also say a loser here, the officiating. So the officials took away 2 touchdowns for the Rams, one of which Tutu Atwell clearly got in the end zone, but what looked like they thought was that his foot was out of bounds. Well, here's the thing. We don't know. We have an idea that his heel was up in the air, but we do not know. So because of that, and the precedent that's been set by the league in the NFL, this is what we would call inconclusive. And the call that was on the field would stand. Later on, Logan Wilson would make an interception grab while he was sliding across the field. The ball would slide a little bit, which then they basically said was inconclusive, so they couldn't overturn it. So it didn't work both ways. And then the timeout that was given when the play was they already snapped the ball, but they gave the timeout away and they took the Tyler Higbee touchdown off the board. So that's 2 touchdowns, Atwell and Higbee. Now, okay, it's important here. I said they were a loser. I also said Sean McVay was a loser here, because the number 1 red zone offense, the number 1 third down offense, went 1 of 11 from third down and could barely do anything in the red zone. Why was that? Because they stopped running the ball. Kyron Williams, coming into this week, was number 1 of all running backs in total touchdowns. So why was he not getting carries after the Tutu Atwell? He was out at the 3-yard line or whatever. Tutu Atwell goes out of bounds. They rule him out of bounds, whatever. Why does he not get those carries after that? I don't know. So the problem is, Sean, it's quite the opposite, actually. Jaeger edits, because I see too conservative in the comments. It's actually the opposite. Sean McVay was too aggressive. Sean McVay wasn't conservative, because Sean McVay wouldn't run the football. Sean McVay wanted to throw it down the field. Sean McVay got panicky. So that's why and then of course, as I mentioned, the officiating, they're losers in this game. I'm sorry. NFL officiating's got to do a better job. There's an inconsistency factor every single game, and I understand we're all human, but to review that and overturn the Tutu Atwell touchdown at the beginning of the game, I mean, that kills a momentum swing, And so I just think it's just gotten really bad at this point. But anyway, you have those two, Sean McVay and the officiating. I would say, there weren't really many losers in this game. I'm going to say the offensive line as a whole. I just by default, I mean, you gave up 6 sacks on Matthew Stafford. It's just not acceptable. Definitely a big loser in this game, in my opinion. Winners in this game, I'm going to say the defense as a whole. I'm literally going to give the defense all the credit. We'll start off. We got to give grace. We got to show grace to Ahkello Witherspoon, because that interception kept the Rams in the game. Now, the abysmal offense didn't do anything because Sean McVay called 3 straight passing plays, and then they ended up punting it away. But the fact that Ahkello Witherspoon made that pick, do not forget, that kept the game even possible. And it was the first Rams takeaway of the year. That was massive, and the offense did nothing about it. So you got to give a shout out to Ahkello Witherspoon. Definitely make him a winner here. I thought Darion Kendrick played really well. I thought Kendrick had, moments where, okay, he's going up against Jamar Chase. You're going to lose those one-on-ones every now and then. And he got beat. The next play he turned around, he made a huge pass breakup on T. Higgins. He had 2 pass breakups in this game. I really was impressed with the way, Darion Kendrick essentially just stepped up and made plays. I liked what we saw to Aaron Donald getting back, living in the backfield, essentially. I thought they got pressure on Burrow. I think the thing that is really unfortunate about all of this, folks, is that the defense really showed significant strides. And I got to tell you, you hold a Cincinnati Bengals offense with Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase. You hold that Bengals offense to 19 points at home. And this is a defense that lost Ashawn Robinson, Greg Gaines, who else? Leonard Floyd, Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey, Nick Scott, Taylor Rapp. I mean, that's 7 starters. They lost 7 starters from their defense. And they're putting out week after week. So 3 straight weeks, the defenses look great. I've just been really impressed with Raheem Morris's crew. What he's doing with this defense is really impressive to me. And once again, this was like last year. The defense keeps them in the game the whole way. The offense blows it at the end. Defense gave him every single opportunity, and it just didn't work. And it's really unfortunate. A half sack from Kobe Turner. I thought he played well. So anyway, winners, Kendrick, Ahkello Witherspoon, huge interception. I thought he played well throughout the game, really battled. Aaron Donald. And I'm going to say, look, big winner here's Tutu Atwell. He found the end zone. I believe that is his 2nd career touchdown reception, his 1st of the season. I thought Atwell did a great job of getting open. Stafford missed him a couple times, but I thought he was great in this one. And I mean, what he was able to do, like, he was opening up other opportunities all over the field. And he should have had a 2 touchdown game because that was taken away. So I think all in all, in case you missed it, the losers of this, the Rams offensive line, the NFL officiating, Sean McVay. The winners of this, Ahkello Witherspoon, Darion Kendrick, I guess I could say Raheem Morris, Tutu Atwell. And yeah, I mean, that's what I would say in regards to winners and losers. Obviously this is more of a rapid reaction after the game. You're getting my initial thoughts. I just think when you look at this game, this is going to be one of those games where the Rams 3 weeks from now, they're going to be fine, but we're going to be sitting here like, man, if they only could have just beaten Cincinnati. This is a game that they should have won. They were the favorites to win this. Now, betting favorites, maybe not, but most people had already moved over to the Rams, even with a hurt Joe Burrow. I got to give credit where credit's due. Joe Burrow put himself in position to win this game. He did the best he could. He went out there and gave it a shot. If Jake Browning played, they don't win. So I got to give credit for Burrow, playing the way he did. Chase stepped up big, and Joe Mixon was huge for them. Then the defense, obviously, they're going against a banged up offensive line, but you can't take away credit, when you have guys like Sam Hubbard getting in there for huge sacks on the game and, game altering sacks, if you will, and Aiden Hutchinson. Bengals are for real. And I hope people realize that. The Bengals should have won last week against the Ravens. Both of these teams are 1-2. I think both of these teams are good teams. And I think both of these teams are going to the playoffs. So what I would suggest, I understand you're upset. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the loss either, but I would suggest moving forward, looking at this game, taking it for what it is. The Rams, their head coach, Sean McVay, blew this game. You take it like the offensive line struggled. Things struggled, but a lot of it was because of McVay's play calling. But the defense showed you signs that they are legit. Raheem Morris is one of the best defensive coordinators in all of football. Aaron Donald is still so dominant, he makes everyone around him better. I mean, you still have guys. Atwell showed you the bright lights weren't too big enough for Atwell, right? You should have had 2 touchdowns. Puka Nacua was great. He just never got the ball. He only had 7 targets. He had 5 catches for 72 yards. I mean, Van Jefferson got on the board with a 46-yard grab, and Tyler Higbee went 5 for 71. So at some point or another, what we're going to see is that Cooper Kupp is going to enter the fray, and the offense is going to be scary. It will. And if they ran the ball more, they lost by 3. And if you want to get, crazy with it, and I'm not saying, I agree necessarily, like, yeah, they took 2 touchdowns away, but I'm not going to say that's the reason they lost. The reason they lost, because they could have alleviated the pressure after that. The reason they lost was because of Sean McVay. But if you want to get into that, there are 4 points. They lost by 3. There are 4 points that were taken away from the Rams at the very least. That Tutu Atwell touchdown, that's 20-19 right there. So it's a struggle. I understand there's going to be people that blame Stafford. I would just say this. I know it seems like I have to always defend him, and sorry, that's just the way it is. But I don't think Stafford was great in this game. Okay. But I also don't think he had a lot of opportunity to be great in this game. I thought the offensive line from the get-go was dealing with issues. And again, it didn't help because Sean McVay was only calling shotgun level passing plays. And it just tells the defense, okay, they're going to throw it. If you're never running the ball and you're going to just take it out of the gun and just throw, drop back pass and everything, you're just going to backyard football it, then defenses are going to be ready for that. So I think Stafford definitely didn't play his best game, but the 6 sacks and just the way the offensive line played and just what Sean McVay did, putting him in that hole. I mean, I got to tell you, I think I'm going to give Stafford a pass. It's why he wasn't a loser in this one. The 2 interceptions, one of those was tipped at the line of scrimmage. It was a really nice play to tip the ball. And there was another nice play for Logan Wilson to slide and make the grab, although it probably shouldn't have counted because it slid, but either way. And then the second one was just a bad decision, although I saw people saying Van Jefferson ran the wrong route again. I can't say. I didn't see all 22 yet. But I do think, next week, this week, it's a new week, short week, but you got the Indianapolis Colts, then you got the Philadelphia Eagles in LA, and that's going to be a real test. The Rams they don't have time to sit here and mope around about this loss. They have to get back out there and do it. They have plenty of games left. They're still very much alive because it's only been 3 games. But what we saw from those first 2 games, I don't think should be overwritten by this. Because if you take anything away from this game, take away the fact that the guys who have been stepping up and making plays like Tutu Atwell, Puka Nacua, the defense, those guys validated. They're legit. They're going to be doing it all season long. Kyren Williams is legit. He didn't get the ball, but he's legit. You watch him run 7-8 yards. Sean McVay sees that. He goes back to the pass. But Tyler Higbee got back involved. The problem is right now is that the offensive line is my biggest question mark moving forward, folks. Because if they're not healthy, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a serious problem if the offensive line can't stay healthy. That's just the way it is. We saw it last year, the offensive line, the depth. I mean, you're not talking about depth when you're in your 4th and 3rd stringers. No, those are guys that weren't on your roster. So you got to be careful here. Kevin Dotson, I'd imagine he's probably going to be on the active roster actually like dressed. I know he's been a healthy scratch. I think this is the time they're going to have to push him right into the rotation. I saw Noteboom. It looked like he came back. And if that's the case, he needs to play left tackle. There is no excuse to not have him at left tackle. Hopefully, Alaric Jackson's okay. He left the game really early and never returned. I guess it was a thigh injury. He had his helmet in his hand. He was on the sideline. So it's gonna be a little tough. But I do think moving forward, if you take anything away from this game, the defense looked really good today. It's really, really, really hard when you're constantly on the field playing the way they do. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, like the Bengals had the ball pretty much the entire game. So that's what I'm going to take away here. I was really impressed overall with the defense. Tutu Atwell, Puka Nacua, they got to continue doing their thing. Cooper Kupp will be back soon. The hope is that Alaric Jackson, Noteboom are okay. If they're okay, you go into Indy, you play your game, you win that, and now you're 2-2, and you head to Philly, or you head to back to LA, and you see if you can beat Philly. And that's a moment there where, say you go 2-2 and then you go up against Philly. It's like now you're talking about a potential 3-2 team if you beat them, and it changes your season around. So I think the important thing is with the Bengals, you can't underrate this loss because the Bengals are a good football team. Don't forget, if Joe Burrow was healthy, the way the Rams called this game, like it could have been bad, but they're still a good football team nonetheless. So I'm not really sure what that onside kick was. I have no idea. I see that in the comment section. That was not very good. But I do think there are going to be a lot of people that are out on the Rams after this game, and that it is what it is. It's a long season. That's all I'm going to say. Long season, lots of football left to be played. But anyway, Rams lose 19-16. We'll be back next week, or rather this week, Sunday after the Colts game at 1:00. They're going to finish right around probably 4:20 ish. I will be live right after that game. We'll go over the winners and losers, break the game down per usual. And of course, you can also follow me on YouTube as well. I do live streams over there as well. But that's going to do it for me. I appreciate you guys. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. You can follow me on all socials at JK Bogan. And I will see you guys in the next one. Later, folks.